This is Let's Talk Chattanooga Real Estate, the podcast where we cover home buying, home selling, home improvement tips and ideas, market trends and developments, and investing in real estate. If you own real estate in the Chattanooga, Tennessee area, or want to own real estate here, then you're in the right place. Let's Talk Chattanooga Real Estate is hosted by Blake Watson, a real estate agent and investor in Tennessee and Georgia.
Welcome back to Let's Talk Chattanooga Real Estate. I'm Blake Watson with Epique Realty, and today we're digging into one of the hottest and maybe most confusing topics for homeowners in Hamilton County right now, and that is property reappraisals and what they mean for your property taxes. Now, if you live in Hamilton County in Tennessee, you probably got or will be getting soon in your mailbox a notice from the assessor's office, and it's probably going to surprise you because get this, the average home value in Hamilton County went up about 60% over the last 4 years. Yep, 60. Not 6%, not 16, 60% is what we're talking about. That's a big jump, and it's the biggest jump in county history. And that includes both residential and commercial property. So if your first thought was, oh great, does this mean my tax bill is going to be going up 60%? Well, you're definitely not alone in thinking that, but it's not quite that simple. Let's get into breaking this all down so that you'll have a better understanding of how this works. In Tennessee, counties are required by law to perform a property reappraisal every so often, and in Hamilton County's case, it's every 4 years. The last one was in 2021. And even then, back in 2021, we saw a record-breaking 26% jump in property values. Well, this time it's more than double that. It's an average increase anywhere from 40 to 80%, depending on where you live. The biggest jumps are happening in places like North Shore, East Brainerd, Ooltewah, and Collegedale. And even East Chattanooga is seeing a wave of attention because it's been historically undervalued. But over the last few years, a lot of homes have been bought and renovated, and that's pushing up values fast. Now, here's the good news, and this is important for you to understand. Tennessee law says that your local government can't just automatically collect more tax revenue because property values increased. This means when the values go up, the property tax rate has to come down by state law to keep the total revenue flat. It's called a revenue-neutral tax rate. And the idea is just to keep the government from getting an unearned windfall because your property value went up and for no other reason. But here's the twist. After they set that new lower rate, your local government, in this case, it's the Hamilton County Commission and municipalities within the county, they can vote to raise taxes, but only if they hold a public hearing and vote on it in the open. So understand that any increase has to go through this process, and it's a very public process. It's not just mailing you a new assessment of your property and saying, oh, by the way, your taxes went up. Instead, there is a system that every county has to follow. Back in 2021, after the last reappraisal, 6 out of 10 municipalities in Hamilton County chose to raise their tax rate above the rollback level. East Ridge had a 28% increase. Red Bank went even bigger with a 53% hike. Those were municipalities within the county. So what about this year? Well, Hamilton County Mayor Weston Wamp says he's not planning to raise taxes. He released a statement on Monday, March 31st, saying he plans to present a fiscally responsible budget that does not require a tax hike. Now, that's a strong message, especially considering the historic jump in property values. East Ridge's city manager said he won't recommend a tax increase either, and Chattanooga Mayor Tim Kelly hasn't committed either way, but he says he's asking departments to submit flat budgets for now, and he'll wait to see how the numbers shake out. So at least for now, it looks like most local leaders are leaning away from raising tax rates. But we'll have to see what happens once the certified rollback rate is released this summer. So this is a months-long process. And also remember, even if the rate stays the same or it even goes down, some folks will still see their tax bill go up. According to property assessor Marty Haynes, about 1/3 of homeowners will see an increase, mostly in areas where homes were previously undervalued. Now, another third will see no change in their bill, and the last third could actually see their tax bills go down. And that's because what matters most is how your property value changed compared to the county average. Now, we just said the county average is 60%. So if your house went up by, say, 30%, but the county average is 60%, well, you could actually end up paying less, assuming there's no rate increase. And remember, any actual rate increase has to go through the commission and be publicly voted upon. So there is a system in place for that. Now, let's take more of a bird's eye view here and look at neighboring counties. These rising property values aren't just a Hamilton County thing. Bradley County, right next door, is also going through a reappraisal right now for 2025. And home prices there have risen fast, about 60% over the past few years, based on home price indexes. So I would expect Bradley County residents to also receive new reappraised values that are significantly higher than what they were just a few years ago. The median sale price in Bradley County right now, well, it's just over $320,000. Let's flip to the west side of Hamilton County. Sequatchie County completed its reappraisal last year in 2024, and Sequatchie County saw a solid jump in values as well. Home prices there are a little lower on average, around $269,000 today, but that's nearly double what they were a decade ago. Let's look across the state line into northwest Georgia. And over the last few years, Georgia counties like Walker, Catoosa, Dade, and Whitfield have all seen major increases in property values too, just like the Tennessee counties. And in Walker County, appraised values jumped 25% in 2022 and then another 30% in 2023. And those are big increases in appraised values. But just like Tennessee, Georgia also has a law that requires millage rates to be rolled back to keep revenue flat unless the county holds public hearings and votes to raise them. In fact, the state of Georgia has what's called the Property Taxpayers Bill of Rights. It's a strong law that makes it really clear when taxes are going up. If a city or county sets a tax rate that's even 1 penny higher than the rollback rate, then they're legally required to hold 3 public hearings and publish notices in the newspaper saying this is a tax increase. So in Georgia, even if they're lowering the rate, if it doesn't go all the way down to the rollback number, even if just by a penny, it counts as a tax hike and has to go through the public hearings, publishing in the newspaper, all those things. Now understand, though, in Georgia, the public schools set their own millage rate that's separate from the county government, and they don't have the same framework for adjustments that the county follows, but there's still the elected school board that sets that school millage rate. So across the board, from Tennessee and Georgia, higher appraisals don't automatically mean higher taxes. What matters most is what your local elected officials decide to do with the rate. And here's something else you might not know. In both states, if you think your new appraisal is wrong and you think it needs to be corrected, well, you have options. In Hamilton County, once you get your notice, you can file an informal review with the assessor's office. And there's even a QR code on the notice that takes you right to the form. And if that doesn't settle it, well, you can file a formal appeal with the County Board of Equalization. But you don't want to wait because the deadline for appeal is June 6th. And if you're wondering whether your new value is fair, if it's accurate, and really in Chattanooga, Hamilton County, Bradley County, Sequatchie, and the Georgia counties, Walker, Catoosa, Dade, Whitfield, we shouldn't be surprised that our appraisals are going up. We all know that property values have increased. And if you're wondering whether your new value is fair, in Tennessee, you can check the assessor's online map. It lets you see recent sales around your home, and the assessor's office bases your reappraised value on sales from the last 4 years. So if you think they missed something or they overestimated your property, you can provide that data for your informal review and any formal appeal. As a realtor, I can also pull that data for you and help you determine if your county appraisal is reasonable. I regularly help people determine the selling price of their home, so I can certainly help you review your county appraisal and see if it's reasonable. Last year, I had a homeowner in Georgia ask me about his county appraisal. After we reviewed his property together and found that other similar homes had recently sold for more than his, he decided he was satisfied with the county appraisal and that it was a fair valuation. Now, I get it. This stuff can feel overwhelming. Reappraisals, rollback rates, millage rates, appeals. But at the end of the day, this is your money, and knowing how the system works can help you ask better questions, plan for what's ahead, and even push back if something is off. So here's my takeaway. Yes, home values are way up across the Chattanooga region. Unless you've been living under a rock, you know that. And that's all a reflection of demand, growth, and a hot real estate market over the past few years. But the property tax system in both Tennessee and Georgia has built-in guardrails that help you make sure your tax bill doesn't spike just because your home is suddenly worth more on paper. Whether or not your taxes actually go up depends on three things. First, how much your home's value changed compared to the county's average. Number two, what your local government does with the tax rate. And number three, whether you take action if your new appraisal seems wrong or it's way off. If you've got questions about your notice, if you're trying to make sense of the appeal process, or if you just want to chat about what this all means for buying or selling a home in 2025, well, I'm here to help. You can always reach me, Blake Watson with Epique Realty, directly by phone or text. On my cell phone, it's 423-315-1815, or through my website at homechattanooga.com. And I'm also on Facebook and LinkedIn as Blake Watson, and on Instagram as Rock and Roll Blake. My brokerage phone is 888-893-3537. If this podcast has been helpful, please share it with a friend, and please follow this podcast so you won't miss any future episodes. Thanks for listening, and I wish you the best on your real estate journey.